Good evening, everybody. This is LDS Prepper, David Gilmore, and this is my lovely bride of 40 years. Sue, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. Backyard Herbalist and Mrs. LDS Prepper here.
And we have a lot to cover this evening. We have several items that we've already planned out, but as we discussed this, we decided what we really want to do is answer your questions. I see a lot of my friends here already this evening. I can't call everybody out this evening, but thanks for joining us. And we want to get to your questions as soon as possible. So please write down your questions in the comment section there, the live chat, and we will get to those questions. We already have 11 questions from people who wrote questions in under the comments from the previous video. So we've got some lined up. I will read the questions and then we'll address them, and we'll get through as fast as possible. All right, so somebody's asking if there is sound. Can you guys hear us? Because I hope you guys can hear us. Let us know if you can hear us, if we can hear audio in the comments there. There is a delay on the comments, so we're just waiting to see if everyone's got audio. 5 by 5. Okay, we're good. Very good. Very excited. We are going to keep this to an hour, just out of consideration for you, and want to make sure that we get as much covered as possible. So please write your questions down. I will go through those questions as we get to them. Okay, just a second. My audio just came on. Okay, here we go. All right, sorry about that. All right, the first question is addressed to Sue. What are the best culinary and medicinal herbs to grow in my garden in South Georgia? Sue, you want to go ahead and address that?
So first thing you want to consider is, what do you like? What do you want to grow? What will grow in your area? And one of the features in my herbal reference manuals on the first page of every section with each herb is a hardiness zone. So for instance, in what hardiness zones can you grow each of the herbs? So dandelions, say, medicinal weed, pretty much grow everywhere in the whole world. Something that might be more particular would be aloe vera. We cannot overwinter aloe vera here in our northern climate, but you can overwinter it very well in the southern hemisphere or the southern climates. And so to answer the question, it's a combination of what plants grow well in your area and what medicinal plants meet your needs. So do you need common first aid herbs for burns and stomach aches and scratches and bruises and, you know, the things that happen frequently that you don't need to go to the doctor for? What herbs would help you with first aid? If you got other health issues that you're dealing with, you would want to grow those herbs to make your own remedies. So I tried to make my reference manuals very user-friendly and helpful in helping you decide what herbs would be best for you to grow. You have to decide what you need, basically what you need to have for your family's needs. Does that make sense?
Yes. So just give them an example. I mean, you have an entire herb garden because you're an herbalist and you teach herbs and so forth. But culinary herbs, what are you growing for our family and why?
Culinary herbs, so parsley and chives and garlic. Also, there's some. I mean, garlic is also a medicinal. Actually, all the culinary herbs are medicinal in some way. Rosemary, thyme, basil, oregano. I like to have those kitchen herbs in pots on my back deck so that I can go out the side door and snip what I need and bring it back into the kitchen and cook with it fresh. Is that good?
Yes, that's very helpful. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see if I can do this. Yes, right here. So as you may know, we have an heirloom seed bank, several of them on our website. The reason why we have them is because I think it's absolutely critical that we have the capability of controlling the production, the availability of food. And in here, we have a list of items that are included in here. So we won't go through all of them. This will work in all growing areas. And I just wanted to see, because I didn't know off the top of my head if we had herbs in here. And that was one of the questions. Let's see if we have herbs. We got asparagus, several different kinds of beans, beets, broccolis, Brussels sprouts, cabbages, cantaloupes, carrots, several cauliflowers, chard, corn. No, it doesn't look like we have herbs. Cucumbers, eggplant, kale, kohlrabi, lettuce, all kinds of different lettuces. Can make a whole salad out of that. Lemon, mustards, onions. Okay, so I am not seeing herbs in the seed bank. So get some herb seeds and add them to your seed bank. We certainly, this looks more like typical garden things, not an herb garden. Okay, so I'll stop sharing there. So as far as herbs, plant like what Sue said, plant what you eat and eat what you plant. I don't really think that there's a problem growing any herbs in any of the 48 states. You can just really grow whatever you want. Would you agree, Sue?
Yeah, you could pretty much grow any of the food crops in any location as long as you obey the 6 laws of plant growth.
Right, exactly.
So,
which is the Mid-Atlantic gardening method, which is what we talk about, which is the reason why I built a geothermal greenhouse, because I wanted to control the temperature in Idaho. So you could grow a lot of these in the house where it's going to be pretty much the same temperature year round. As far as herbs go. All right, so thank you for that first answer. The second one was, we would love to know more about herbal medicine from your lovely wife. Do you have any reference manuals, anything like that you can refer them to?
yeah, well, to know what I know, you'd have to study what I've studied, which has been a constant process for the last, 9 years now, since I began my master herbalist certification. But since completing that, and I started asking around in this area what people are interested in, I found that a lot of people were interested in so what grows here that I can use medicinally. And so that started me looking at the plants that grow here in southeastern Idaho. And I came up with a list of 120 plants I know from my own master herbalist studies how overwhelming it is to learn about that many plants. I had to memorize a whole bunch of stuff, about 100 herbs, and it was daunting to memorize all of that. It's also been a challenge to retain all of that information. So I divided up that list of 120 herbs into different groups. I found about 20 medicinal weeds, 20 herbs that are good common first aid weeds or first aid herbs. Then I looked in my kitchen and wondered, okay, so what's already in my kitchen that I can use? What herbs and spices have medicinal value? And that was an awesome experience, coming to realize what great health benefits are at our fingertips in our kitchens, in our spice racks, and we don't utilize that resource like we ought to. So I came up with reference manuals as a way to break down this huge list into manageable chunks of like plants, like the weeds, like the first aid herbs, like the culinary herbs and spices, and then created these reference manuals so that I would have that information at my fingertips, because there's no way anybody can memorize all of that information about all of those plants and retain it. And so the reference manuals were a way for me to keep that information at my fingertips. And then I found that people in this area were interested in what I had learned. As I was teaching classes on these herbs, they wanted copies of my reference manuals. And so I've got reference manuals for the culinary herbs and spices, for the medicinal weeds, for the first aid herbs, and for making herbal remedies. So you've got all these herbs that you can use. How do you make them into tinctures? How do you make them into teas? Is it better to tincture one herb over making teas with those herbs? I mean, I cover all that information in my reference manuals. And then my latest manual is 3 secrets to choosing the best herbal remedy. Because there are so many options out there when it comes to herbs. For instance, respiratory herbs. Say you've got a cough and you've got a list of 20 herbs that help with coughs. How do you know which one is best for you? That goes with it teaches you how to pick the best herb.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to, that was great detailed information. We're going to answer these questions faster because we're already a fourth of our way through the hour. So there are a lot of questions here. So I will try to move as fast as possible. While we will be in the Navajo Nation that day, most likely no internet to watch on Thursday, I have a question about the Mittleider method. So as far as questions about the Mittleider method, the best thing to do is to go over to ldsprepperstore.com. You can see that up here. And you'll find several different things, but right down either on the left-hand side under gardening, or right here, you can click on gardening, click on here, and you can get the Mittleider Gardening Course book. This is the book that transformed our gardening and our lives 10 years ago. It's $24.95. My wife literally donated as a master gardener, certified master gardener. She had over $1,000 worth of gardening books. When we moved from Texas, we were downsizing, and she literally donated over $1,000 worth of gardening books, and this is the only one that she kept. So you can go over to ldsprepperstore.com, get the gardening book there, learn everything you want to learn about the Midnight Gardening course. Pretty much everything that's in that course, I have put on videos on my YouTube channel for free. So you can read about it in the book, you can watch the associated video on my YouTube channel, and go out and do it yourself. One of the essential items for healthy plants is nutrients. And so we also have the LDS Prepper Premium Micronutrient Mix here that you would mix with the macronutrients that you get locally. But in here we have the zinc and the iron and the copper and the molybdenum and the other things that you can't get locally. So everything to do with the Midnight Gardening course, you can go over to ldsprepperstore.com. While we're here, I have a list of free self-defense products you can pick up. That's one of the items that we need to be prepared for 2022. And this is just a list of items that I purchased from different vendors. When you click on them, you'll actually leave this website and you'll go to another website. I don't sell these items, and you can get your $60 flashlight here, which I actually have with me for free. You just pay shipping, or you can click another item and get something else. Of course, we've got the Berkey water filters. We'll talk about that here this evening. Right now, as you know, 2022 is going to be kind of a eye opener, I think, for a lot of people that aren't awake yet. But we're going to see we're going to see more severe supply chain issues. And right now, Berkey is back ordered or out of stock on the Royal Berkey system. So I try to keep that updated in here. You see that I updated it here on the 10th. So I would highly recommend that you order them immediately so you get at the front of the queue, and I will be able to fill all the orders as soon as Berkey has them in stock. And I ship directly from Berkey to you, so you know you're getting the authentic Berkey system. When Sue and I were in China on vacation a few years ago, we actually went to a huge warehouse, multiple stories, where they were just making 100% knockoffs from everything around the world. You could buy whatever you wanted in that warehouse, but it wasn't the authentic thing, but it looked a lot like it. Berkey is aware of this problem. I am an authorized dealer. And there's the authorized dealer seal, and I have a lifetime warranty that I also include when you purchase from me. So if you're looking for water filtration, which is extremely high priority, head over there. Here's the reference manuals that Sue was just talking about. I just added today the All-American Sun Oven. So if you've got food storage, and you've asked yourself, how do I cook food with there's no electricity, no fuel, no gas, and so forth, you may want to consider the Sun Oven. We have cooked a lot of meals for a lot of people, including ourselves and dinner guests, over on with the solar oven. So you can get there's a link right here, and I have special pricing. You can get those over there through here. Again, this will take you to All-American Sun Oven's website. The satellite phone, portable solar, food storage. Oh, by the way, food storage. Come over here and get Sue's free soaked whole grain recipe. It's free, and her food storage menu calendar. Both of those are free downloads. Don't have to pay anything. You just put them in the shopping cart, and they're emailed to you directly. So I want to stop sharing the screen there, and I mentioned the flashlight. I do have the flashlight. I don't know if you can see this because of I am actually sitting in a closet. That's the reason why I have the screen behind me, because I'm literally in a closet. At home, I'm able to manipulate the environment and set up the lighting and so forth. But the lighting was so bad last time because I'm under all these fluorescent lights. I'm actually sitting in a closet with some light coming into me. So you can't see, but I'm holding, I don't know if you can see that. and you can't see it. I've got my flashlight here with me. I've got my Berkey sports bottle. I've got some capsules that Sue made for me. What are these called, Sue? BF and C.
Well, it's Dr. Christopher's Complete Bone and Tissue Formula. We
Okay,
call it BF&C for short.
okay. Bone.
Complete, I think it's Complete Tissue and Bone Formula, or Complete Bone and Tissue Formula, something like that.
Bone formula and C. I don't know.
BF&C, BF&C was an acronym that was attached to that formula years ago.
Okay, so I have that with me. You can't see it because I dislocated my rotator cup, and then I've got some Grammaloo green stuff. No, it's not a tincture; it's an ointment. Is it an ointment? We call it an ointment.
It's technically a balm, but
A
it's an
balm
ointment.
that she made to help. It works great with if you've got itchy mosquito bites, but it works really good because it's healing my shoulder. And then I also have some other things here, Clothes, silver, and so forth, that I just take these things with me when I travel. All right, so I want to get back to these questions here. So that led me to, that was off because of the midlight question. Okay. Maybe it will be covered. Will the Berkey water filter be safe for filtering unfiltered spring water? Yes, absolutely. It'll be safe. I have a video, and I'll put a link down below this recording, where I actually go out to a really, kind of a nasty stream, creek, and dip water right out of it and filter it and taste it. I put it in my neighbor's fluorinated or chlorinated swimming pool. He had just added chlorine to it. He said, you don't want to filter this because I just added chlorine. I said, no, this is exactly what I want to do. So I took the water out of that, filtered it through the Berkey, could not taste any chlorine in it. So I have several different examples in that video showing you how and what the Berkey will do. So yes, the Berkey will filter unfiltered spring water. Absolutely. It also removes pesticides, herbicides, viruses, bacteria, parasites, heavy metals, petroleum products, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, radiation. I'll put the links down to all the data on that. But yes, it does a really, really good job there. Okay, the next question. Let's say you have food and water covered. Then they're saying, I think they're suggesting fuel storage, gas, propane, kerosene, charcoal, wood, pellets, isobutane, how to diversify heating and cooking. Too many people think the barbecue and one tank of propane will be all that they need. I will put out a video. I have a presentation on cooking, how to cook without fuel, sun, and electricity. And I'll post that video. It's a presentation, so I have to record the presentation for you. I give it live, and I'll put it on my YouTube channel. But one of those solutions to cooking off grid is to have a solar oven. We actually have 3 solar ovens in our house. And we also have other stoves, rocket stove. I have several videos on my YouTube channel on how to build a rocket stove for free. And those are extremely efficient. You just literally pick up little twigs around the yard and you can cook meals. When we were in cool California, we have 3 or 4 little kids there. I don't remember how many kids we had. Cool. So
We had 4.
We had 4 little kids, and the power went out. We're way up in the mountains. The power went out, and we had a kerosene heater. So I brought in I filled up the kerosene heater, lit it outside on the back porch because there's kind of a puff of smelly smoke that comes from it. Brought it in the house, and that gave us warmth. It gave us so we all we had a huge vaulted ceiling in this house, but it warmed up the room that we put it in. It gave us light, because you really want light when there's no electricity. That there's a mental, emotional thing that happens when you don't have light. And it gave us a way to cook. And we cooked hot chocolate, we cooked soup. It just was, and we sat around there and the kids played, and really made a big difference. So kerosene heater was a good solution. When we were building when Sue was renovating our house, our kitchen where we live right now, I think it was a 6-month process. We still had the kerosene heater, but she actually used, what is it that you used for that,
A
Sue?
butane burner.
So you had a little butane burner. It was a 2-burner, one burner?
Just one burner, but I
One
had two
burner?
of them.
Okay, I'll put a link down below, and you can use butane inside of a home safely to cook on. So we used all that. We actually had it in the mud room, I think, for 6 months, and you cooked dinners and so forth in there. It worked really, really well. It's the most expensive fuel that you'll use for cooking, but you can use it inside. So if it's bad weather outside, you can be cooking safely inside your house. The absolute worst thing you could do is to bring in the barbecue, the grill, into the house and turn on the propane. That'll kill you, or you have a really high chance of that killing you, because it's not a sealed system. It leaks. If you wanted to barbecue outside, that's a really, really bad idea, because you'll go through a lot of fuel with a barbecue grill. So I do not recommend a barbecue grill. If you want to use propane, then get like a Coleman stove, camp stove. That is the most economical way to cook with propane. And I would say that if you had 4 20-pound propane tanks and a Coleman stove, again, you would need to be cooking outside for safety. You would be able to cook for a year for a family. So, and that is, when I say cook, I'm not, I'm saying you're warming up some water to make soups or chocolates or hot chocolate or something like that. You're not making gourmet meals. You're trying to conserve that energy as much as possible. So solar oven, rocket stove, propane stove, as long as you're cooking outside, butane stove, those are all good ways to cook food if you don't have power. Next thing is, most of us are all poor and don't have that kind of money and working to support a family. I felt that the plane was rubbing it in all of our faces. So first of all, thank you for your comment. And I would never rub anything in anybody's face. That's just not me. However, to your credit, even though you felt that this may have been, I don't know if the word is ostentatious or something, by me sharing our life, you're still here. So there may be, and I have experienced this in my life, there may be people who you may not like, but they have really good information you can learn from. If that's me, then just learn from me and not like me. I'm not offended. If I can help you in any way, then stay here and gather the information that we're providing for you free. And the reason why I shared why I'm sharing the videos of the gyroplane is because we're sharing our life. I share the quail, we share the chickens, we share the garden, we share the herbs, we share the solar cooking, we share the solar system, we share our propane system, and so forth. We're just sharing our lives, and people who find those things interesting will benefit from those. So no offense meant. I'm not trying to show off. We're just sharing our lives and hoping that blesses other lives. Can you suggest something to cook indoor when there is no power? Can you suggest something to cook indoor when there is no power? So you could cook up some soup. Could you say? Okay, I think we covered that. I think they're asking, what can we cook on when there's no power? Now, the thing is this, and this is the most important thing that you need to have this year. So if you're going to write one thing down, this is it. You need to own it before 2022. You can't cook soup if you don't have soup to cook. You can't cook it on a butane stove if you don't have the butane stove. Our most important message this evening is spend your money now while you have the money and things are available. I was looking at some food storage today, and it was $1,000 for a year's supply a year ago. It's $4,400 this year for the same amount of food. So it's going to be, $8,000 next year or something like that. So things are getting more expensive. That spend your money wisely. Sue and I are trying to spend our money as wisely and as quickly as we can. What funds we have available, and we're prioritizing. So I had a great conversation with a dear friend today, and we talked about different things that we could use for purchase for preparedness, and it all came down to priorities. And we were discussing whether to buy a freeze dryer, and we don't own a freeze dryer because we still have other priorities that we're getting for preparedness. I said, people I know that have freeze dryers love freeze dryers, but prioritize what you think about. If the grid went down today, if there was no power, no internet, no gas, no grocery stores, no dentists, no doctors, what would you need to have to take care of those things for you? No water, no sanitation, no security, no police officers. What would you need to live in that situation? And then prioritize those items. And you only have so much money. We all only have so much money. And then you buy the most important thing on that list. And that's exactly what we've done. And that's why we don't have a freeze dryer yet. We may get one, but we felt that $2,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 purchase would go better to beans, rice, and wheat that you can get very, very cheaply right now, and build meals and cook meals on a rocket stove that doesn't cost you anything to build. So please prioritize and get what you can now. The best suggestion I can make for Christmas is buy things now for Christmas and make those things that can be life essential if you're giving those out to other people. Okay. Where can you get oxygen absorbers made in the US or somewhere other than China? I don't think you can. I think they're all made in China. At least I haven't been able to find any in the US. How do you prepare rice for storage after freezing so there is no mildew or mold? Oven dry, or if so, how long? Now, Sue and I were discussing this earlier. Can you talk about how you store rice, honey? And do you freeze it first and then store it?
No, I've never frozen rice. We have rice stored in number 10 cans, sealed number 10 cans. I have rice in my pantry that's in mason jars. You can, with a food saver with a jar attachment, you can vacuum seal those jars. So I've got rice that's stored that way, but I've never frozen it.
Yeah, I don't know that.
I'm
sorry.
I put cooked rice in the freezer and then saw it to use later, but I've never frozen uncooked rice. I've never heard of that being done.
Yeah, so if we had cooked rice and the electricity went out, we're on solar, but the electricity can go out. I would eat the rice. I wouldn't try to can it. I would be eating it. just like anything else, you want to eat it before it spoils. We've talked about Wendy DeWitt before. I will put a link down to her videos. She actually talks and shows how to store those kind of items with the vacuum sealer in jars. And great information on food storage from her. I will have a link later for that. Okay. Yes, would love ideas in building community. My neighbors are clueless and don't seem to care. Excuse me. Well, that's probably the majority of people. I would probably say, less than 1 out of 10 is kind of really aware of what's going on. Probably less than 1 out of 1,000. I don't know what the average is, but it's not much. The way that I do it, the way that we have done it, and the way that we are doing it is I ask questions. So I'm not trying to build a group by saying, hey, do you want to join my preparedness group? I would ask questions on finding out how they feel about things. You say something like, yeah, it looks like food prices are going up quite a bit. Have you noticed that, or have you thought about what to do about that? Or, just kind of asking questions instead of saying, boy, if food prices are really going up, I'm storing a bunch of food. Because if they're not like-minded, they just may think, oh, I'm coming over to your place. So I ask questions. What we did in Texas is we lived in a cul-de-sac, and we invited our neighbors over every, I think, was it August or September, whenever hurricane month was. And we had a potluck, and everybody brought a dish over, and soon I had information that was prepared. And we talked about emergency preparedness. And what was that? 5 or 6 households came over every year.
Yeah.
And they did absolutely nothing. When I say absolutely nothing, I mean absolutely nothing. Because in the back of their mind, their thought was, hey, David and Sue will take care of us. Well, Hurricane Ike came, and we were set up. We had our generator running. Life was normal at the Gilmore house, but our neighbors, literally, some of them slept in the bathtub because they thought they were going to die during the hurricane. They all lost power. We all lost electricity and the essentials, and we did help. But after that, we had a meeting, and I said, don't count on us, because we've got 21 family members within a mile of us, and we're going to take care of our family first, or we may not be here. And literally, we actually did move. Within a couple of years, we had moved to Idaho. And so I told them, if something does happen and we are here, don't come knock on my door, because we're not giving you anything. And when they knew that we would not share with them, because we had spent years trying to help them fulfill their own stewardship and take care of their own family, that's when they started preparing. When their plan was to eat somebody else's food and use somebody else's electricity and use somebody else's shelter and somebody else's water, when that was their plan, and they realized that plan just fell through, then our neighbors got food storage, and they built gardens, and they got generators and the other things. So as much as I want to help people, I can't feed everybody. I can't shelter everybody. I can't clothe everybody. I can't produce enough electricity for everybody, but I can help them prepare if they're like-minded. So you just need to kind of find out who's like-minded and start building a group. I sent out an invitation to our neighborhood in Idaho, and we've met on Zoom in preparedness meetings, and we will continue doing that. Those who are interested will meet. Those who aren't won't meet with us. Okay.
I have a thought on building community.
Yes, please.
So when you're thinking of who is like-minded. Don't limit yourself to your immediate neighbors. We know people north of us, south of us, east of us, and west of us. If we needed to evacuate, we could call on these like-minded friends and say, hey, can we bug out to your place for a while? And if they were to call us and say, hey, we have to evacuate, can we bug out to your place for a while? We'd say, sure. So don't limit yourself to just to your immediate neighbors, but think beyond that, who you know, who is like-minded, who you could hook up with in an emergency situation.
And do it now. You need to do all these things before before the event happens. So when I'm just using the event as using just a term, I don't think there's any one event that we're preparing for. We're just preparing to be on your own, hopefully with a community, be with like-minded people. Okay, so there's a question. Can you tell us more about the wood burning stove that you purchased? So I'm going to share my screen again here and show you the wood burning stove that we purchased. And it is the Englander stove. We purchased the I think it was a 2,000 square foot stove. Just depends on what size your home is, right? And we bought it from Home Depot. Now, my brother-in-law, his wood pellet stove stopped working, and so he needed a stove at that moment, and we could not find them in Utah or Idaho, so we actually literally drove to Wyoming to buy them. But it looks like Home Depot has them here on their website. It says pickup unavailable, delivery unavailable. Oh, okay. Pickup and delivery unavailable. Oh, okay, that's because it's seeing my my IP address. So check with but anyway, this is the one that we bought, the Englander. It has a blower on it, and that's it's incredibly efficient. We burn very, very little wood, and it just, it puts out a lot of heat. So the most efficient stove that I have found is this one, and this is the one that we own right here. Okay, hopefully that answers that question. Okay. Then David Burt says, what is the easiest thing to grow for survival? Boy, radishes. I think radishes are the easiest thing to grow. But probably, because I would say, what do you call them, Sue? When you put seeds in water and you let it grow for a few days and then you eat them?
Sprouts.
Sprouting. Get a bunch of seeds, and you can get sprouting seeds, and you can just sprout them, and it's gonna, they have different flavors. And there are different mixes that you can get with different flavors, but sprouting is by far the easiest, highest nutrition, highest calorie way to grow food. Now, you're not going to want to be eating stuff that tastes like grass all the time. All right. It's just not going to be palatable. But if you're looking for an easy way to grow food, and you're growing new food every day, it would be sprouting. Your thoughts, Sue?
What came to my mind was root crops. If you're only focused on survival level food, that would probably be your root crops, your potatoes, your carrots, turnips, rutabagas.
Mm-hmm. My number one crop is potatoes, because it has the highest amount of calories per square foot in the garden. So my go-to food is potatoes. They're not hard to grow. And so, and next to sprouts, I would say, I would totally agree with you, honey. It would be root crops. Yep.
So, yeah, but if you want to get beyond survival level living, then you would want to grow the things that you love to eat.
Mm-hmm. I love potatoes. And you'll actually,
Good thing.
yes, your taste will change. So, but you don't, you wouldn't want to have to do it, instantly. Okay, we got 15 minutes. Monty Myler asks, do you grow microgreens in winter? We actually don't grow any microgreens at all. But we do grow. Last year I grew carrots all the way through winter. We grew tomatoes through winter. Microgreens would be awesome to grow through winter. It's just that we don't grow microgreens. So lettuces, any of those kind of things too would be excellent to grow through. I could if we wanted to. Yes. Buckeye Slave says best way to acquire critical medicines. Well, that really depends on what medicines you're after. And I really don't have a recommendation there on how to obtain critical medicines. I don't know what you would mean by critical medicine, and I would just do your best to be healthy. You need to really be healthy. That's one of the top 10 things to do, is you absolutely need to be healthy. So I'm here in Maryland, and my daily diet is a bowl of cereal with almond milk. The cereal is Honey Crunches and oats. So I have about a cup and a quarter. Then I have an apple. I think you put me onto these apples. So you call them juicies? Is that what your new favorite apple? Is it juicy?
Oh, yeah. Called juicy.
Yeah, I have an apple, and I have 2 tangerines, and I have a banana. So that's primarily what I eat, and then I also have some Costco trail mix, which gives me some fats from the nuts and some chocolate. So that's pretty much all that I eat right now. That's what I've been eating for almost 2 months. So I'm learning that I way overeat. Today I was preparing for this, and so I was nervous. So I was nervous eating. So I had to put the trail mix away. But I've actually eaten less today than I would normally. Oh, and bananas. So I'm primarily eating cold cereal, almond milk, and fruit with some trail mix. Lynn says, where would I find your manual? So I think, Lynn, that you're referring to the LDS preparedness manual. Let me just do the. And it is a free download. So if you'll just go to your favorite browser, I just did a search on DuckDuckGo. And let me just share my screen here. I just did, I typed in LDS preparedness manual. It's a PDF. Here's another one here. It's the same manual. You can just download it at different places. And there it is. It's a free download. It doesn't cost you anything. You can download the whole manual. It's not my manual. I know I'm, LDS prepper, but I didn't write the manual, and it's not from the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, known as the LDS Church. But this is it's an outstanding manual. You can get it for free. You can also order a printed copy. So you can go to these websites and you can see printed copy. Let's see if we can do that. And you can actually order a printed copy of the manual. Okay. I would highly recommend getting that manual. It's a really good manual. Let's see. Utah Mike. What and how much should be stored for others, those that will need help? Soon, I've discussed this many times, and we are telling everybody that we can't feed them. I told my bishop, you need to let the ward know, the congregation, excuse me, know that we can't feed them all. I can't buy enough food and store it for 300 people. I just can't, we just can't do it. Financially, we couldn't do it. We don't have the space for it. We just can't do it. So people need to understand that that you're not the store and you're not the gas station, and you're not their source. It's their stewardship. It's their responsibility to feed their family, not yours. That being said, we know people will come knocking to our door. And so we have discussed what can we do to help when people come knocking to our door. You have to kind of imagine that if they're knocking on your door, they have little or no resources. So you can't give them a pot roast because they're probably not going to be able to cook it. So what we decided is we have a couple cases of mac and cheese. If they can boil water, put some sticks together and light a fire and have something to cook in, they could have mac and cheese, and that'll fill them up and give them something. So we bought a couple cases at Costco, and that's what we're doing. When the mac and cheese is out, we don't have anything else to share because I need to feed my wife. That's my stewardship. And if I give you her food, she's not going to eat. If I give you my food, I'm not going to eat. We've given up a lot over the years. We've moved 18 times, and we've always moved our food storage. Always. It has always moved it. We have never left it behind. It's been a high priority for us. So I can't answer that question for you, Utah Mike. All right, so here's a question for you. I live in Maryland as well. Any medicinal herbs that help for high blood pressure and the liver? Can you handle that? Take that one on, Sue.
Well, it's one of the reasons why I put everything that I've researched into my reference manuals, is so that I can look that up. One of the, what do you call it? References in the back of each manual is I've listed each herb and the specific ailments that it has helped. So if you've got high blood pressure, in the back of my manual, you can look up high blood pressure and see the different herbs that will help. Or, and then I've listed in another reference section all of the herbs and the ailments or the health issues that they are good for. Generally so it's a hard question to answer because there are lots of herbs that will help with high blood pressure and support the liver. How do you know which one is good for you? It depends on what's called your constitution. And that's one of the reasons I wrote the 3 Secrets to Choosing the Best Herbal Remedy book, is to help people narrow down that huge list of options to what is best for you, for your body, for your situation. I think because, people who use herbs, get a recommendation, take this for that. So they take an herb and it doesn't work for them, then herbs get a bad rap. And it's probably just because they didn't choose the right herb for your specific body, for what's going on with your tissues and your constitution. So
finding out those 3 keys, the secrets to finding which herbs work for you, is why you wrote that manual?
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully that helps. We've got 6 minutes left. We're going to get through these last few questions here. There are a stream of questions happening. We will cut this off at the top of the hour. And we'll continue. Maybe we'll do this next Thursday if there's interest, because there's a whole bunch of questions that we haven't even addressed. So let me know if you want to have us continue doing this next Thursday evening, same time. So Ben Richards writes in the chat, Utah Mike, I'll be over once this hits the fan. Got fam there somewhere. I like lasagna, by the way. And then Utah Mike replies, Ben, please come. I need labor bad. And that's perfect. If you want to take advantage of somebody else's resource, then let them take advantage of your resource. In other words, be a team, come together. That's what we're talking about, building a community. So don't just show up with your hands out and nothing to offer and just be a taker. Be someone there and says, hey, you know what? I have a diesel equipment. I have this skill. I can grow plants, food. I can dig. I can cut wood. I'm a dentist. Whatever it is, but come with something to offer and people will welcome you. We may not all have food storage, or we may not all have firewood, or we may not all have transportation. But as we come together, that's how we build our community. And that's how that community survives, is by everybody bringing and sharing together. So I wanted to highlight that conversation, because that's exactly how it happens. And so people for years have told Sue and me, oh, when the stuff hits the fan, we're coming to your place. And I used to tell them that they weren't invited. But now I tell them, yes, we'd love to have you. We just have a couple of requirements. You need to bring your own year supply of food, your own sleeping bag, your own water filtration, your own medical supplies, your own fuel, and so forth. And let's get together and let's build security and support each other the best we can. So I'm not telling them not to come. Somebody comes to me and says, we want to join you, and here are our resources. Let's combine them. Yes, let's do that. So that conversation, that kind of playful conversation between Utah Mike and Ben was a great example of that. Dave says, and so maybe you can address this. How can you tell if flour or coffee is rancid?
I don't know about coffee.
These last three
What?
questions are for you, honey. So,
okay. I have no experience with coffee, so I don't know how to tell if it's rancid. Flour. I don't know if flour will go rancid. Usually anything that has fats in it or oils in it that's exposed to oxygen will go rancid. White flour is so highly processed, I think it'll last forever.
Now I've heard that you should store wheat and sunflower. I'm not saying sunflowers like the plant, but a smaller amount of flour, so you can use it, on a daily basis. But you should store more wheat, because wheat stores longer than flour, which would mean the flour doesn't last as long as wheat. Is that right?
Well, I think the flour will last a long time. When you're converting, when the event happens and all of a sudden you're on your own without a grocery store or resources, and you switch from the convenience of grocery stores and move towards survival, living off of your food storage, it would be helpful to have flour as you make that transition. It would be helpful to have packaged meals that you can fix while you're making that transition. But I think flour will last a long time yes, if it's stored properly.
Yeah, I don't know that I would want to store a year's supply of flour just because of the space it takes up. I would rather store the grain and then turn it into flour.
Right. And with the grain, you also have the opportunity of sprouting it
Right.
rather than just turning it into flour.
Yep. Okay. Sue asks, Sue, do you make tinctures with the medicinal herbs?
Yes, I do.
Can you share some of the tinctures that you've made?
Okay, I've taken shepherd's purse out of my garden, and that's a medicinal weed, and have made tinctures with it. Um, I could have put together an inventory list if I'd known this earlier.
It's one of the live
Yeah.
questions from tonight, so sorry.
So yarrow, leaves and flowers from my herb garden. I've collected those and dried them and made a tincture with them.
Now, so a tincture is when you take a plant and you put it in alcohol or something to extract the benefits from it, and then you, how would you use a tincture?
You can squirt it in your mouth directly, or you can squirt it in a cup of hot water and drink it as a tea.
Okay.
That's pretty much how I use it.
Okay. So a tincture is something you take internally.
Yes.
Okay. By the way, what would you use the shepherd's purse tincture for?
Shepherd's purse is often used by midwives to control postpartum bleeding after a woman has a baby. So it's a very good herb for controlling bleeding.
Okay. And the last question we have, I know we're on top of the hour. The last question we have is from Ben Richards. When is the best time to plant garlic? And the answer is in the Mittleider Gardening Course book, it tells you. But the answer is, well, I can actually look in the Mittleider. I won't because of time, but
Usually planted in late fall. And then, like August or September, depending on where you live, probably later in the fall if you live in the southern climates. But up here, I would need to get garlic in, I would need to plant garlic in August, September, outdoors. I can go as late as October if I put it in the greenhouse up here. And then the plant overwinters and it sprouts again in the spring.
You had some beautiful garlic you harvested this year.
Yep.
What variety of garlic do you grow? It's really big.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Elephant garlic or something?
That's what they call the bigger bulbs and cloves. But there's different varieties. Okay. And it just depends on what your local garden center has in stock.
Let me here end with my top 10 specific items. And number one would be, well, let's just say, we'll just put these in no particular order because you will order them by your own preferences, but you need to be healthy. You need to exercise. I'm not telling you what to do, but I would recommend that you exercise, get your circulation going, be at a good weight so you can move around and work, be physically fit is what I'm saying. Build up your immune system. A lot of people recommend taking supplements like vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, and so forth. So one of the items out of the 10 would be health. Concentrate on your health and write down where you want to be and what you need to do to get there, and give yourself a deadline. Another item would be finance.
Also how to take care of your health if you get sick. Know your herbs.
Yes. One thing here, you probably won't be able to see this because of the screen, but let me see if I can hold this up. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah. So a filling came out about 2 weeks after I came to Maryland. So we actually have this in our preparedness kit. And this is Prime Dent. And so I did my own dental work. I created my own filling out of this kit. So I ordered on Amazon, waited a couple days for it, well, more than that, over the weekend. Things always happen on a Friday, right? So you can wait over the weekend. And I read the instructions a couple times and created my own filling. It's still in here, and it replaced the filling that came out after a few months after the dentist at home put it in. So I don't know if it's just as good or not, but anyway, you need to be able to take care of your own health, like Sue said. Okay, next item would be finances. We are really doing Sue and I are really concentrating on turning our currency into tangible assets, physical assets, things that we can touch, things that add value to us, things that will help us if we can't buy them again. We're buying things as if we can't buy them again. So, for example, we're off grid. We have a solar system that's 6 years old, getting pretty close to 7 years old. And those batteries are worn out because they're lead acid batteries. So we're replacing those batteries with lithium ion batteries. So that's a high priority for us because we want to be able to have power when the grid goes down. And it happens more often in winter than any other time, and we're going into winter. So that's a high priority for us. So we're taking that money and turning into a physical asset instead of just having the money sitting in the bank. I think it's good to have some cash on hand, but whatever you can turn that into a physical asset, it could be a stove, it could be silver, it could be lead, it could be blankets, it could be sleeping bags, it could be duct tape, it could be a generator, it could be whatever it is that you want it to be. But I would spend that money that you have now on physical assets as quickly as you can. The third item would be food storage. Get it now while it's available and why it's still affordable. It's more expensive than it was last year, and it's going to be less expensive than it will be next year, and it's more available now. As I go to the shopping here, I usually don't go grocery shopping. My wife does that, but I'm now more aware of what isn't on the shelves. I was at Safeway today, and there are a lot of holes in those shelves right now. That's, I think, an indication of what's coming. So I would say take the next 30 days to get 90 days of food storage. Once you have 90 days of food storage, then every 30 days, get another 90 days worth of food storage until you have a year's supply of food storage. Why do we recommend a year's supply of food storage? Because you need to be able to get through the winter and your first growing season while you're producing food before you can actually eat what you're producing. So you need to have, my recommendation, a year's supply of food. The next item would be, so have plenty of food storage and have the ability to prepare that food, to cook it, to serve it, to whatever it is that you need to do, and to store it and get those skills. The next item would be food production. And again, the Mittler Gardening Course book will make you an expert in food production. I would just say I've noticed that a lot of people are buying seed banks off of our website. These are the highest quality seeds that we can get, and they were harvested from last year's seed harvest. There is very, very little seed harvest from seed producers this year. So these seed banks have a 5-year warranty on them. After 5 years, you can turn it back in and get a nice big discount on your next upgrade. But get them now and buy it like you can't ever buy it again. I would highly recommend you do that. I would also recommend as an item that you think of your own personal security around your living space, your home, your apartment, whatever it is, and how you can make yourself safe when you're away from there. Like, for example, I have my self-defense flashlight with me. Next thing is consider where you're living and if you need it, and if you need to move, because some of you actually may need to move to be safe. If you're finding that you're in a community with not like-minded people, then when things get really bad, you're going to be their source of whatever, and you don't want to be that. So you may need to move. That needs to be a serious discussion. I think we discussed this earlier this evening. Building a community, building a network with shareable skills is very, very important. Emergency communications. Sue and I both are ham radio certified. We also have a solar satellite phone. We get ours free from the link on my at LDS Prepper Store. We sign up for a year subscription of the service. It's $99 a month, and we have 150 minutes that we use that we can use every month or that roll over. And those will work when cell phones are down, internet's down. You can't be tracked with it. The FRS little family radios would be at the lowest list possible because all the kids in the neighborhood have them. We've tried them in emergency situations in Houston, and all we get was literally just kids talking on the radio. That would not be my first or second choice. I would plan on living off grid. In other words, no resources available to you. Think through this process. What do you need to have on hand that you can get now with the resources that you have to live off grid? I mean, no water, no police force, no doctors, no dentists, no fuel, so forth. What can you do? Now, you may not have a lot of resources to get these things, a lot of finances to do that, but that's where you build your community and you come together and you work together with other people. And you may need to move to an area where you can build a community. But I would plan on living off grid and try to figure out how that would work. And the most important one is spiritual and emotional preparedness. You want to be a moral person to the core. So if you're in a bad situation, you're still a moral person, and that you're emotionally prepared for whatever may come and spiritually prepared for whatever may come, and do what you can to help those who want help. And we can't save everybody. Just unfortunate, but it's not our stewardship. It's theirs. It's our stewardship to take care of our family and ourselves. So those would be the top really kind of specific categories that I would recommend that you sit down and have those serious conversations with your family. Thank you so much. My battery's about ready to run out because I don't have an extension cord here in the closet. We're a few minutes over. We will go through the questions. I'll discuss with Sue if we can do this next Thursday and continue the conversation. If you do have additional questions you haven't posted, please post those in the comment section below this. And if we do this next Thursday, we'll get to those questions for you. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you getting whatever resources you need at the LDS Prepper Store. And we appreciate your notes when people place orders and put notes in there, and we appreciate that. We wish the best for you. We would encourage you to take the time that you have now to prepare for next year, and do so in a prioritized manner, and do so as quickly as you can. This is LDS Prepper reminding you, if ye are prepared, you shall not fear.
And Mrs. LDS Prepper, the backyard herbalist. Grow your own and make your own.
And to my sweetheart, love you bunches. Talk to you later. Bye.